Jotaro never expected that. Even though Star Platinum clearly sent the stand user flying, his grandpa Joseph also ended up flying backward right along with him. The man's stand represents the lover's card, and he can sink any damage he takes, magnifying the pain dozens of times over. Directly to the host his lovers is parasitizing. Following Dio's orders, Steely Dan came to Pakistan to silence Enya, who had been captured by Jotaro and the crew. He accelerated the growth of Dio's fleshblood parasitizing inside Enya's brain, and even though Enya was the mentor who taught Dio about stand abilities, she had outlived her usefulness now, ultimately facing the fate of being silenced. Jotaro and the other three glared furiously at Steely Dan, and looking at his highly punchable face, they wanted nothing more than to beat the living daylights out of him.
どうぞ。だが君たちはこのスティーリー・ダンに指一本触ることはできない。
Before Steely Dan could even finish his sentence, Jotaro interrupted his little act, and almost sent his own grandpa to the grave. Steely Dan tossed a $100 bill to a kid nearby, paying him to whack his own shin hard with a stick. The exact second the stick hit his leg, Joseph let out a scream of agonizing pain right next to them. It turned out that the moment Enya took her last breath earlier, Steely Dan had already slipped his lover's stand into his brain. Since a stand and its user share one body and mind, even if the user takes just a tiny bit of damage, his lovers will strike back with dozens of times the pain on the exact same body part of its host. There was no way Jotaro could put up with that kind of provocation, getting ready to beat him up without a second thought.
謝るな、丈太郎。こいつの能力はすでに見たろう。自分の祖父を殺す気か。
But seeing his grandpa in so much pain, Jotaro had no choice but to bite his tongue and endure it, letting Steely Dan ruthlessly beat him. Joseph knew he had to come up with a way to break the stalemate ASAP, suddenly having a stroke of genius. With just a single glance from Joseph, Kakyoin totally got the memo. The guys ditched Jotaro and ran off, while not forgetting to remind Jotaro to stall Steely Dan, keeping him from catching up, hoping to escape his stand's range this way. But Steely Dan didn't panic at all, because even though his lover's stand lacked physical power, once it got inside a human body, it was easier to control from a distance than any other stand, making even hundreds of miles a piece of cake. Joseph went up to a TV sales counter, and using Hermit Purple's ability, he projected the image of the stand inside his brain onto the screen.
Oh no! なんてこった。自分の脳の中を見ることになるとは。